Today I want to talk about something that's creating a lot of attention in Washington right now, and it could affect how Congress operates over the next several months. Donald Trump has said he will not sign any new legislation into law unless Congress first passes something called the Save America Act. And that's significant, because this isn't just about one policy proposal. It could actually slow down, or even stop, other laws from moving forward in the U.S. government. Even if Congress passes a bill, it still needs the president's signature to officially become law. So when a president says they won't sign anything until a certain bill passes, that creates major pressure in Washington. Today we're going to break down what the Save America Act actually is, why the president says it's necessary, why critics strongly oppose it, and what this could mean for everyday Americans. Before we dive in, I'm curious about something. Do you think national voting rules should be stricter, or should individual states mostly control how elections are run? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I always enjoy hearing different perspectives. What happened recently, President Trump spoke to a group of House Republicans during a gathering in Florida at his golf resort in Trump National Doral, Miami. During that meeting, he made it clear that passing the Save America Act should be Congress's top priority. But he didn't stop there. He told lawmakers that he will not sign any other legislation unless this bill is passed first. That's a strong position. Normally, Congress has dozens of bills moving at the same time, dealing with things like the economy, healthcare, national security, and government funding. But by saying he won't approve anything until this bill passes, the president is essentially trying to force Congress to focus on this issue first. What is the Save America Act? The name stands for Safeguarding American Voter Eligibility Act. Supporters say the goal is simple: strengthen election security and ensure that only eligible citizens vote in federal elections. One major part of the proposal would require people registering to vote in federal elections to provide proof of U.S. citizenship. That could include documents such as a birth certificate, a U.S. passport, naturalization papers. The bill would also require photo identification when casting ballots. Now, if you're thinking that some states already have voter ID laws, you're right. But the key difference is that this proposal would create a national standard for federal elections. Another controversial part, there's another part of the debate getting attention. President Trump has also suggested expanding the proposal to include limits on mail-in voting. Under the idea he described, mail ballots would be restricted to certain situations such as military service, travel, illness. Disability supporters argue these rules would help protect election integrity and strengthen public confidence in election results. President Trump has repeatedly said he believes stronger safeguards are necessary and has described election security as essential to the country's future. Supporters also point out something interesting. Many other countries already require voter identification, and in some cases their rules are even stricter than those in the United States. So from their perspective, requiring proof of citizenship and photo ID is simply common sense. Why critics disagree, but not everyone sees it that way. Critics argue that these requirements could make voting harder for some Americans. For example, not everyone has easy access to documents like passports or birth certificates. Voting rights groups warn that millions of eligible voters could face new hurdles if these rules were implemented. Some experts estimate that up to 20 million Americans may not have quick access to citizenship documents that the proposal might require. There's also concern about limits on mail voting. Mail ballots became much more common during the COVID-19 pandemic when many states expanded their systems to allow people to vote from home. Today, some states conduct elections almost entirely by mail. Critics say restricting that option could make voting harder for rural voters, working families, older adults, people with disabilities. The Senate challenge: even if the House passes the bill, it still has to pass the Senate. And the Senate works differently. In most cases, it takes 60 votes to move legislation forward because of something called the filibuster. Right now, Republicans hold 53 seats in the Senate. That means they would need support from at least 7 Democrats to pass the bill. So far, that support doesn't appear to be there. Some lawmakers have talked about alternative strategies, including something known as a talking filibuster, where senators opposing the bill would have to physically hold the floor and keep speaking to block it. But historically, that tactic hasn't been very successful for passing major legislation. Even Senate leaders, including John Thune, have acknowledged that the path forward for the bill is very difficult. Why issue the ultimatum now? So if the bill faces such steep odds in the Senate, why make this announcement now? That's where politics comes in. Right now, Washington is dealing with several major issues at once. Gas prices have been rising again, partly tied to tensions involving Iran. There are ongoing debates about housing costs, healthcare, and inflation. And Congress is also dealing with government funding deadlines. Normally, lawmakers would be focused on those topics. But Trump's announcement has shifted the conversation. Now election law has become the center of attention. Political pressure for Republicans, this creates a complicated situation. Many in the party would prefer to campaign on economic issues heading into the midterm elections. But the president is pushing them to prioritize election reform instead. At the same time, Republicans currently hold only a narrow majority in the House. That means control of the chamber in the next election is far from guaranteed. So the political stakes are extremely high. What could happen next? Here's something many people overlook. Even though the president has made this announcement, Congress still decides which bills get sent to the White House. Lawmakers could technically pass legislation and send it to the president anyway. But if the president refuses to sign those bills, they would not become law unless Congress overrides the veto. And that requires a 2/3 majority, which is very difficult to achieve. The result could be legislative gridlock. That means fewer laws passed, slower progress on policy issues, and a lot more political negotiation behind closed doors. The bigger debate at its core, the debate over the Save America Act, comes down to 2 competing priorities. One side says election security must come first. The other side says protecting voting access is more important. Both sides believe they're defending democracy. And that's one reason the debate has become so intense. What it means right now for everyday Americans, here's the key point. Right now nothing has changed yet. The bill has not passed the Senate, and no new voting rules are in place. So the current election system remains the same. But the conversation itself matters. Because decisions made in Washington today could shape how elections are run for years to come.